Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are diving into something that stopped me cold, a raw, unfiltered conversation that cuts through the usual tabloid noise and gets straight to the heart of a very ugly pattern. Before we play the clip, let me set the scene. The video opens not with music or a fancy title card, but with genuine human bewilderment. A voice says, "What the heck was he thinking by saying that, and how does he still have his job?" This is our entry point. We are not starting with Meghan Markle, we're starting with disbelief. The person speaking, passionate, incredulous, and completely justified, immediately identifies the central paradox of the British media ecosystem. A man can say something so degrading, so volatile about a specific woman, and not only keep his job, but have those words published in the nation's most influential tabloid, The Sun. No consequences, no pause, no apology, just publication and profit. A second voice, calmer but equally analytical, reframes the question entirely. She argues that this is not about one foolish journalist or one reckless sentence. It is about something much larger. She says, it shows the power that certain people have, and also the consumerism of degrading women and the violence against women. This is the critical pivot. The British tabloid industry has commodified the degradation of Meghan Markle. Her face on a cover sells papers. Her name in a headline generates clicks. But she goes further, tying this degradation directly to violence, not just rhetorical violence, but the kind of dehumanization that historically precedes real-world harm. She names it clearly, the consumerism of degrading women. We pay for it, we click on it, we consume it like entertainment. And then the conversation takes a sharp turn. One of them says, Camilla, the Queen consort or so worked or whatever, just had lunch with this person. She is referring to Queen Camilla, then Queen consort. The implication is damning. Camilla recently had a public lunch or meeting with the very journalist or editor who authorized or wrote this hit piece. Why does this matter? Because Camilla has spent years cultivating a public image as a champion of women's protection. She is the patron of Safe Lives, a domestic abuse charity. She is the patron of the Royal College of Midwives. She has spoken extensively about violence against women. In 2023, she even wrote an article for The Sun herself about ending violence against women and girls. The hypocrisy is staggering. By publishing this attack on Meghan, and by Camilla breaking bread with the publisher, there is a sign-off, a quiet approval, an unspoken agreement that Meghan is outside the circle of women worth protecting. One of them says it bluntly. There seems to be a sign-off by these words being published in The Sun that this is okay, and I believe Camilla has an initiative about protecting women or the endangerment of women, and this seems like something volatile enough to constitute the endangerment of a woman. Let us pause here. A woman who leads a national campaign against domestic abuse, a noble and necessary cause, lunches with a man who then publishes a degrading attack on another woman. And the defense? He's just a provocateur. It's just his style. No. When you have power, your lunch is an endorsement. Your silence is a weapon. And the woman on the receiving end has done nothing except marry a man that the establishment decided she was not worthy of. So now, before we go any further, let us listen to the original clip ourselves. Let us hear the frustration, the disbelief, and the quiet fury in their voices, because what they are describing is not abstract media criticism. It is a pattern, and once you hear it, you will not be able to unhear it.
What the heck was he thinking by saying that? And how does he still have his job? Or am I
jobs?
No.
Plural.
Jobs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shows the power
that certain people have, and also the consumerism of degrading women, and also the violence against women. Because Camilla, the Queen consort or whatever, just had lunch with this person, and there seems to be a sign-off by these words being published in the Sun that this is okay. And I believe Camilla has an initiative about protecting women or the endangerment of women, and this seems like something volatile enough to constitute the endangerment of a woman who, BT dubs, what has Meghan Markle done?
I know.
Like, honestly, what has she done other than exist and marry a man that you don't feel that she's deserving of? Because at the root of all of this, that's what it's giving.
I think we all know what Prince Andrew's done.
Right.
I wonder if there's an article about him.
Right.
I'm very curious.
I also have to say, like what Erica said, when you hate someone on us, I get that he's a provocateur. I know who he is. People are like, oh, he says stuff like this all the time.
But he doesn't write op-eds.
Right, and when he says this about someone who already has that much vitriol, when you hate someone on a cellular level, even if you're joking, again, where was there the fight between these two people? What did she ever do? So what Erica is saying really truly is and you said it before, they're proving her point. She does nothing, and they eat her alive, throwing excrement at her as she walks.
I didn't read that part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
But it's important. It's so dirty and vile and violent. And you can say I'm overreacting, but I think it's reckless for someone who is a target like that.
I have the same visceral reaction as you two.
I think we can lose sight of like who, obviously all the vitriol is directed towards this person, as it should be. But don't forget, he did this because he had permission.
Yes.
You don't write an article about this. You don't write anything about
it's in the Sun.
The royalty without permission. You don't do this. This is the boss letting you.
This is the most important section. A third speaker, identified as Erica in the transcript, asks the question that cuts through every headline, every op-ed, every late-night joke. What has Meghan Markle done other than exist and marry a man that you don't feel that she's deserving of? Because at the root of all of this, that's what it's giving. List Meghan's actual crimes. She was a successful actress on Suits, a UN women advocate, and a biracial American woman. She spoke about her mental health, which the tabloids mocked. She left an institution that was harming her. That is the full docket. The visceral hatred, the cellular level hatred mentioned later, is not about anything Meghan did. It is about what she represents. A woman who refused to be grateful for crumbs. A woman who looked at a racist, sexist, archaic system and said, I deserve better, and then left. The speakers brilliantly invoke Prince Andrew. I think we all know what Prince Andrew's done, right? I wonder if there's an article about him. For context, Prince Andrew settled a civil lawsuit for sexual assault against Virginia Giuffre. He was stripped of his military affiliations and royal patronages. But the tabloids are gentle with him. They run nostalgic pieces. Poor Andrew. Shamed prince. But they do not run daily, what was he thinking? Headlines. They do not dissect his facial expressions at funerals. Meanwhile, a woman who married into the family and asked for mental health support receives thousands of venomous articles. At line 201, the conversation reaches its thesis. You don't write an article about this. You don't write anything about royalty without permission. You don't do this. This is the boss letting you. This is a crucial insight into how British media works. The royal rota system, the palace press briefings, the invisible hand of Buckingham Palace. It has been widely reported that negative stories about Meghan and Harry were often briefed to friendly journalists by competing palace aides, a practice called the War of the Waleses. The Sun is not a rogue actor. Its editors attend royal receptions, and its reporters are embedded. When a piece runs that attacks Meghan, it is often because someone with a title wanted it to run. The speakers call this permission, and they're right. A tabloid journalist doesn't wake up one day and decide to torch the Duchess of Sussex. He wakes up, gets a call, and writes what he's told. When an institution, the monarchy, the press, the aristocracy, collectively decides that one woman is fair game for degradation, they are not just being mean, they are creating a target. The speakers call it throwing excrement, and that is not hyperbole. It is a description of a mob. The mob listens. Meghan received over 5,000 abusive tweets per day during her pregnancy with Lilibet, and police had to increase security. This is not just words. This is endangerment. Speaker Erica introduces a powerful phrase. When you hate someone on a cellular level, even if you're joking again, what did she ever do? Cellular level hatred is not rational disagreement or a critique of fashion choices. It is a deep, almost biological revulsion reserved for outsiders, for those who break unspoken rules. The journalist in question always hides behind humor. It's just banter. Don't be so sensitive. A classic gaslighting tactic that allows the speaker to be cruel while accusing the target of overreacting. But when you joke about a woman who has received death threats, who has been compared to Hitler, who has had her children's safety questioned, you are not joking. You are adding kindling to a fire. The first speaker responds with frustration. No, but it's important. It's dirty and vile and violent. And you can say I'm overreacting, but I think it's reckless. A 2022 study by the Center for Countering Digital Hate found that Meghan Markle was the subject of 78% of all racist abuse directed at British public figures on Twitter in a single month. That is not a coincidence. That is a campaign. The transcript hints at a double standard that the video expands fully. Compare Meghan to Kate Middleton. The tabloids have also been harsh to Kate. She was called Weighty Katie for years, but the difference is volume and tenor. Kate's criticism is about her clothes, her work ethic, her smile. Meghan's criticism is about her existence, her race, her voice, her ambition. When Meghan made a mistake, the edited Mother's Day photo, the press laughed it off. When Meghan does anything, it is evidence of a character flaw. Compare Meghan to Princess Anne, who is famously blunt, demanding, and not warm. Anne is called no-nonsense. Meghan is called difficult. Same behavior, different labels. One is a beloved national treasure, the other is a Duchess difficult. And the speaker's point about Prince Andrew is devastating. The Sun runs more articles about Meghan's wardrobe than about Andrew's crimes. The numbers are ugly. Over 2,800 negative articles about Meghan in a single year versus just 43 about Andrew. The second speaker's phrase, consumerism of degrading women, is a masterclass in media criticism. Every time you click on a negative Meghan headline, you generate ad revenue and tell the algorithm, more of this, please. There is a subset of the public that enjoys watching a beautiful, successful, mixed-race woman be torn down. Envy dressed as morality. She thinks she's too good for the royals? Let's destroy her. The tabloid cycle is predictable. Publish a cruel headline, readers get angry, write a follow-up about the backlash, and repeat. Meghan Markle is not a person to these outlets. She is a content farm. The speakers understand this. They know the journalist is a provocateur, but they refuse to excuse it, because being a provocateur does not give you a license to endanger someone. The transcript's most haunting line comes from Erica. They're proving her point. She does nothing, and they eat her alive, throwing excrement. That is the thesis of the entire video essay. Meghan Markle could move to Antarctica, adopt a penguin, and never speak again, and the tabloids would still run stories about how she's snubbing the penguin or abandoning her duties. Why? Because she is a symbol. She is the woman who left. She is the woman who said no to a 1,000-year-old institution, and institutions do not forgive rebellion. But here's the final positive message. Despite everything, despite the 5,000 hate tweets per day, despite the front-page attacks, despite the provocateurs and the lunches with Camilla, Meghan Markle is fine. She is richer than she has ever been. She is more loved than she has ever been. She has 2 healthy children and a husband who chose her over his own family. She launched Arkwell, produced a Netflix documentary that broke records, and started a podcast that won a People's Choice Award. She lives in Montecito, and she thrives. She sued the Mail on Sunday for publishing a private letter to her father and won, forcing a front-page apology. She has never once responded with hatred. Even in the Oprah interview, the most watched royal interview in history, she was measured. I don't want them to be as angry as I am. She expressed sadness, not revenge. That is grace under fire. The tabloids want her gone. She is still here. Resilience is not pretty or polite, but it is powerful. And Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, is one of the most resilient women in modern history. Every time she smiles, every time she speaks, every time she simply exists in public, she wins. The video ends not with anger, but with hope, asking viewers, when you see a headline designed to provoke hatred, ask yourself, who gave them permission? And then remember, she does nothing, and they eat her alive. And yet, she remains.